I would encourage you to sit toward the front if you'd like, and that would be great. Kevin, you're fine in the back there. Thank you. So just as a little bit of preamble, so this is posted, so if we do have a quorum of the board here, there's no business being done, but the Board of Education, we may have members here, and they won't be speaking about anything other than what's related to the legacy type discussion we're going to have today too. I'm Rod Figueroa. I'm the superintendent here at the School District of Monroe, and I have a couple people with me. I am not going to be leading this legacy meeting. Mr. Ryan Burton will be leading that. Ryan is one of our owners reps from Huffman Keel, and he's been working with the project since we pulled them on, and he was instrumental in helping getting our branding team on, which is PRA and Amplify, so they're taking this on together, and we'll talk about them in just a second. So you should get a note card. Josh is doing his work here, so note card and a pen, and the idea for that is if you have things that you'd like to include that maybe don't get discussed about or you want to just bring up here to hand in when you go, we'd like you to put your name and contact information on the card. So if we need additional information based on what you were putting in there, we can contact you and we can follow up with it. Also, just so you're aware, we do have an email for the project. It's called Monroe High School Project at monroe.k12.wi.us. And I'll make sure we get that up on the website too. If you want to just hit the homepage, it'll be up there. But you can also put, if you think of something, as often as the case, you go to a meeting, you have something you want to say, or it's something, you leave the meeting and then you think, oh shoot, I should have said this. So we want to make sure you have a platform to be able to present that after the meeting. So the purpose of this legacy meeting is really not to be confused with sponsorships or naming rights or anything. The purpose of the legacy meeting is to identify different parts, pieces, items that are culturally important to the Monroe School District for Monroe High School. So I'm going to throw a few examples out there, and I know Jeremy and his staff have worked on some list things too, which is really nice. But for example, when we started talking about this 8-9 months ago, one of the things that continually kept coming up was the arch at the main entrance. So many people associate, since the school is open, this building is open, the arch with Monroe High School. So it's pretty clear we can't take the actual arch that's attached to this high school because it's actually supporting the roof entrance there. But it's likely, I'm sure it's likely, we're going to have some representation of the arch in the new project. So that would be one example. When you come into the commons area here, you see all the state championship pictures. Obviously, those are things that have been earned over time. They're very important to the culture of the community and the alumni and even the teams that are here now and the kids that are here. So obviously those are some things that we want to be able to make sure we represent. So there's just some things like that. Some of the other things that might not be quite so obvious that maybe you've thought about, things that are identifiers from within the community. So we are the Monroe Cheesemakers. Well, you know, why are we the cheesemakers, right? And what do we have that's representative of the community that comes out through the school? There are many people that have grown up here, graduated from here, went someplace else and came back to raise their families. They work in the community, they're proud of the community, and there's different aspects of that we want to make sure we consider when we start looking at legacy items of how we're the Monroe Cheesemakers. So I'm going to hand this over to Ryan Burton. And Ryan, I'm going to let you introduce Brianna. Sure. And talk about that. And thank you very much for coming. And again, one more quick plug for the email. If you think of things after the meeting, it's Monroe High School Project at Monroe. Yeah, that's right. It's Monroe HS, not high school. Monroe HS Project at monroe.k12.wi.us. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Vic. As Fig said, I'm Ryan Burton. I'm with Huffman Keel Partners. We're the owners reps for the project, so we represent the district, the board, as it comes into the nuts and bolts portion of managing the new high school construction project. And Fig asked if I could help facilitate this meeting. As he said, our big idea here is to capture all the things that mean a lot to you about this high school, either from your experience, your family experience, loved ones' experience, while being here. One of the ways we want to capture that is through something called environmental branding. may sound nebulous, as in like you may not know what that means. And that's why Brianna's here to explain exactly what that means. So we've hired PRA. They're the architect of record for the new high school, but they're doing some ancillary work for us, and this is one of them. And they're partnering with a great company called Amplify, and we're just starting to figure out what the scope of this project is in regard to environmental branding. But we knew this meeting was important in capturing the community's thoughts and feelings about what they want to see carried over to the new project and how we could incorporate those in creative and fun and notable ways within the new high school. So, Brianna, if you'd like to.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brianna with PRA. So when we talk about environmental graphics to a school district here mean many different things. It could be visual elements like signage, murals, wayfinding systems to help guide people through the school and enhance the surroundings of the school. Many of these things in the high school that we might want to include, like I said, was wayfinding. So maybe that's naming conventions that we could use. Maybe it's something to do with the community. Maybe there's some naming conventions there, and we are naming certain wings of the school for that wayfinding for the students or any visitors that come into the building. Another thing that we really want to address is the school identity. What is the school identity that we want to show to the community and to the school district and the students that are attending? So what do we want to talk about? Do we want all school colors? Do we want to add in some other pops of colors? Things like that is some stuff that we can discuss tonight as well. We're going to talk about the logos too. Environmental graphics can also support learning, so these graphics can also bring in learning elements into the school as well. A lot of times we use environmental graphics with learning elements of like the history of the school district, kind of expanding out to the students, the history that they might not know of the community and the school district, but then also other people in surrounding areas that come to Monroe. What are things that we want to highlight to them? So in a short thing, we're here just to talk about what kind of historical elements, what kind of branding and identification do we want to add to the school. So we're open to anyone's feedback or any items that they would like to include in the branding.
Yep. Thank you, Brianna. So you have cards, you have the website, and right now you have this microphone. So if anyone has any things that haven't been mentioned, such as the arch or sports photos, sports trophies, even things like the copper kettles with cheese making, the armed services benches, those are some of the things that have kind of bubbled to the top of our minds. But we fully admit we won't think of everything. So if anyone came loaded to the meeting with some other ideas, just ask that you state your name and give you an opportunity to share that. And we're taking notes. So if you want to go, I'll give a few minutes for the microphone to be open and we can go from there. Kick it off. Jeremy, if you could say your name and follow the rules.
So some things we've come up with already, I don't know if I need the mics or not, but obviously you talked about the arch, we talked about all the plaques and the record boards that are in the commons, not just for sports, but for AFS and other things that we have, forensics, whatever it might be. We want to bring those over and have them represented at the new high school. Ryan mentioned the benches for the armed services. We might need to recreate those because they're getting fairly weathered now, so we might want to do something different with those. The history of the Fine Arts Festival that we've had here in high school, and all the things that have been created, from sculptures to paintings to murals to whatever. Obviously we can't bring everything with us. So one of the things we've been thinking about is how do we balance a new, fresh, innovative high school and then not fill it with really, really old stuff, right? So how do you balance that, pay homage to it, but not make it look like it's something like the current high school, right? And then there's some historic items that have either been donated or whatever that we've just kept in storage here, and do we want to display them somewhere, whether it's in the main commons area or the library or places like that. So that's from the current high school. And then we talked about representing the community, because we want this building to be not just the high school, but a community place and be representative of Monroe and the history and the heritage of the good people of Monroe. So the cheese making industry, and Ryan talked about the copper cheese making kettles. We have two right now that are in the different courtyards here at the high school. Right now, one is a planter, like a really large planter, but one is just kind of leaning up. They might need to be shined up, or maybe people want them with the weathered patina on them. But we could represent those in the high school. Obviously, incorporating the Swiss heritage, cheese days, all of that kind of stuff. How do we do that with some graphics in the main corridor where everybody will come in to games and musicals and plays and whatever it might be, along with an agricultural heritage that we have in this community? Do we capture some of that in some graphics as well? Thought about things like our iconic square and the clock tower and the courthouse. Is that something that we bring into the building for people to see? Just things that are iconic of Monroe. And then we talked about there haven't been a lot of high schools in Monroe, 3 that we know of. So the middle school, the current middle school, but how did it look as the high school? Could we create some kind of picture timeline of that to this one to the new one, so that kids could see how that has evolved over the years? I think that's really where our list ended. I mean, it's quite a lot of things, and we can't put everything in. But one of the reasons of tonight was I've only been here 24 years. There's people who have been in this town all of their lives. Maybe I'm missing things. One thing we did talk about is we're not really looking for, in this aspect, people. It's more about things and themes, because people can be, we could have a walk of fame or things like that to honor people who have legacies in Monroe High School or in Monroe. But this is more about things and themes to be captured within the building. So that's where we're at.
We're fully aware that you might feel put on the spot to come up with something fun and creative. And maybe it does take a minute for you to sit on this and think about it and think about what's been important, or even have conversations in the town to see maybe we have a gaping hole in our kind of knowledge of the history of town, and we don't want that there. We want to pick that up. So I'll give another chance for an open mic if anyone wants to come up. But if not, please utilize the cards, utilize the website or the email address on the website. I hope we're communicating that it's important to us, and I hope maybe that can be shared out more broadly. We want this because we want not only people to walk into the new high school and say that, hey, this is a great high school. We want people to walk in and go, this is a great high school in Monroe, Wisconsin. Like this doesn't, this high school is nowhere else. It's here in Monroe, and I can see it and feel it and experience it and interact with it in a way that's meaningful, and that pays homage to what came before, and that's looking forward to what's exciting in the future. And so it's kind of a lofty goal, possibly, but we're shooting for it and doing everything we can. But we know we can't get there without your input. So please utilize all the tools of communication and avenues of communication to let us know what we might not know, so that we can do this right. So give it another chance. Yep. Oh, awesome. I'll shorten your walk by 2 feet.
Hi, I'm Ellen Hossman. Excuse me. And Monroe has really become very diverse, and I would like to see that addressed somehow with all of the AFS students we've had, and how our culture is changing.
Yeah.
By flags, perhaps, of the families who are here. I just really want that addressed. We're not just Swiss.
Yeah.
Maybe some of you are. I'm not.
No, that's an awesome point. That's a great point, right? Like taking where we've been and letting that, as it flows out to where we're headed, right? Who we are now and where we're going, right? That's a great theme. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. What I don't want this is to feel like it's pressure or a performance. So if you guys just want to mill around and talk, it doesn't have to be so formal. There's only a few of us here. So maybe a brainstorming if you want. Those are always great. See what the wall, see what sticks, those type of things. But yeah, I'll just reemphasize, your guys' voice is super important to this process, and we really want to hear from the community. So whatever that looks like. If it looks like you guys hanging out for a minute and talking and writing something down on your cards and turning it in before you go, or sitting on this for a few days and sending an email in. It works for us either way. It's just invaluable information, so. Yeah. Jeremy, do you want to speak to that? Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Yeah, I think that there's been, it, that is all brilliant. Yeah, I love that idea. We've taken a lot of steps with staff and faculty and some students, but yeah, making that a little more comprehensive and reaching out to more and getting those, yeah, that's great. Perfect. Well, this ends the formal declaration from the microphone. It's an open mic now. If you guys want to talk and come up and pop in and share something, please do. If you want to write something down, please do. Just don't want to waste anybody's time. So feel free to talk to me, talk to this thing, write something down. Doesn't matter to me. It's just good information. All right, thank you.